Hi, I'm Nair.
And I'm Bello.
And we are Perspeculative, and today we had something fun for you guys. Top 3 cats in Shonen anime.
Along with a honorable and dishonorable mention.
My number 1 is Kuro from Blue Exorcist. And for me, I really liked him because his backstory is very moving, it's sad, it's super relatable. He just wanted to be loved and be a cat. So that's really sweet. And getting to see him have a friend again and calm down and just be a good kitty with his funny reactions. I do like that about him a lot. He is the most cat-like out of all the cats that I'm going to mention. He's very loyal to those that he cares about, and he does care a lot. He's adorable, of course, especially as a cat, obviously. He's sweet as a companion, and he does have a giant form and a small form, so that's nice too, especially in a fight.
I also actually have Kuro as my number 1 favorite for shonen anime. Keep in mind, this is only shonen anime. If we were to do it out of all anime ever,
it'd be a different
list
story.
Would look really different.
Mm-hmm.
And if you guys like this video, we'll probably do some more on different types of anime. But yeah, so Kuro, that's one of my favorite episodes of Blue Exorcist, is finding out his backstory and main MC being like, yes, Kuro, I understand you, and figuring out why he was acting the way he was acting, and instead of, hey, just kill it, take care of it, he took the time to bond with him and know that he was actually in horrible grief and connect with him. And I'm a sap. I loved it. And
It's like,
so yeah, I mean, who doesn't understand a cranky kitty who just wants milk, you know?
And to be loved.
And love. So yeah, definitely my top 1 for shonen anime as well.
Okay. And then for my number 2, it's actually Fairy Tail, and it's Panther Lily, which I like the name. And I do love black cats, so there's that. Which, Kuro as well, black cat. He has a chibi cute form, and then he has his beefy I am super strong form. And he's a good fighter, especially with a giant sword. So he's very helpful. He's mature, intelligent. He can fly. He does not discriminate between the Exeeds and the humans, so I always appreciate that. And he's just an awesome dude. Like, really cute. I kind of hope that he gets with Carla. I have not watched all of Fairy Tail, so sorry if he's, like, super old compared to her, or that doesn't happen, or they're actually siblings or some shit. I don't know. I'm sorry. But he's my second favorite.
So as far as that goes, guys, it's hard for me to comment on that because I haven't watched as much Fairy Tail as Nair has. So I haven't met Panther Lily yet. So I don't have a lot of opinions on him as a character. He sounds nice. I'd like to see a cat with a sword turn into a little chibi kitty. Yeah. My number 2 is actually Kilala from Inuyasha. I guess I have a weakness for shape-shifting cats that are badasses in a form. You know what I mean?
Pretty much all of the cats we're mentioning can shapeshift. Most of them can fly.
I mean, that's why they ended up in shonen, right? You know,
Yeah.
It's hard to hang in a shonen anime if you don't have a badass magical form that can fight.
And be a main character. Because there are plenty of cats. We try not to include too many cats that didn't actually have
a big part
to play.
Yeah. So, Kilala, I mean, you can ride her. You can
cuddle with
her. I mean, you can be flying on her back while you sling your giant boomerang. What's not to love about her? Adorable, loyal, badass. She check marks everything. Coming in as number 2 just because I know she came from the village and everything, but my memory probably isn't as good with her backstory because it's been so much longer ago that I watched Inuyasha. But Kuro just won me over with the backstory. I love that episode. Makes me tear up, cry every time, so, you know.
Cry every time. Anyway.
You know what?
I'm right there with her, so don't, I was just...
Yeah.
And my third favorite is actually the same as her second, which is Kilala. Same thing, adorable in the mini form, super cuddly. I'd love to cuddle her in the big form, and of course flying, and
who says you can't cuddle big cats?
The big cats cuddle. Well, I don't know about that, but it'd probably be great.
Yeah, well, we'll get eaten by lions one day, guys. Don't worry.
This is just paw to the face. Anyways, she's strong, super helpful in a fight. She's loyal, and Good for emotional support, like I said. Cuddly. Gives kisses.
Okay, so my number 3, which is one of Nair's favorite, is Happy from Fairy Tail. I love him. I think he's so carefree and cute, and he does help out. He helps out Natsu a lot with his crippling vehicular motion sickness. So if you've watched the show, you know he actually says Happy's not a vehicle, and that's why somehow he's immune when Happy's carrying him. So he's a necessity that way. He's just, in general, the epitome of that sort of chibi character, and he absolutely adores Natsu, and I love him. I think he's endearing, and he's like the little fairy tale mascot, and he just makes me happy, and his name's Happy.
Sorry guys, but I never liked the name Happy from the get-go. I did appreciate it once you get to know about his background though. But that being said, Happy is actually my dishonorable mention. I cannot stand him. He is super obnoxious. He's an a-hole to Lucy. Bad. I mean, bad. And he displays a lot of inappropriate behavior, says a lot of inappropriate and unnecessary things.
And let me interject really quick. I really truly believe that the only reason he really is bad to Lucy is, think of it as a sibling, or for those of you who have kids, a really close sibling, or a child who they haven't had a dad or a mom in a while, and then dad starts dating a new girl. How does that toddler act? How does that 5-year-old act?
They're friends.
But he raised Happy.
Yeah, and so did all of the Fairy Tale Guild.
But they even played house where his friend played the mom. And how does a kid act when their parent starts dating someone new?
But
until they completely accept them, they are critical of them. They are jealous. They find fault in everything that they do.
I don't think it applies here.
I do. And that's why it's easy for me to forgive Happy, because I understand he's had Natsu to himself 90% of the time as far as affection goes. And then this new girl steps in, and all of a sudden she wants to be BFFs, and
but
that's
he has so many
partner.
BFFs in Fairy Tale, and she is one of them, except that he's a dick. He's always ragging on her.
I get that, but the other ones also are part of the Fairy Tale crew, and they don't have that same dynamic that Lucy and Natsu do. You know, watching the anime, that there is a thing between Lucy and Natsu. I mean, at least me, I'm shipping them. And Happy senses that. And he's like, you know what? You're treading on my turf. He loves you a little too much. And is he gonna stop needing me? Is he gonna stop wanting me as a friend and a companion?
All I hear is excuses. Bad ones.
But
anyway, back to what I was saying. Dishonorable mention. Don't worry, her dishonorable mention I'm going to argue about too. So, but he also makes a lot of unwanted advances on Carla, which I know Bello says, you know, oh, that's the first cat with wings that he's ever seen in his life, and he's just obsessed and stuff. Well, yeah, but when she tells you no a dozen times and makes it super obvious, maybe you should see the Exceed behind the face, behind the obsession, and actually appreciate them as a person and be like, oh, maybe I should, you know, kind of back off, try to be friends first or something crap. And no, he just keeps hitting on her and hitting on her and hitting on her. And as a female that has had that shit happen, as most females especially can relate to, it gets tiresome.
Which is understandable, but let me say this. To me, maturity-wise, regardless of why, for either of them, Carla is at the maturity of, like, a 40-year-old. Okay, she's dry. Let me not get into that yet. But anyway, maturity level of a 40-year-old. Where Happy has the maturity level of, like, a 7-year-old. Okay, 5 to 7, somewhere around that age. And it's like, if he was to meet a movie star that, for the first time, looks like him.
But it's not just the first time he meets her. He keeps being like that.
No. First time he meets someone like him when And the first time he's ever seen them. Not that he only does it the first time.
Yeah.
I'm saying he becomes obsessed because that is the only one he's ever met. That's the only one he's ever seen. So, of course, he's like, wow, she's magical. I mean, this is like meeting Beyonce. This isn't like some other female walking down the street, okay?
But it's not just the first time. Despite being around her and them having all these experiences and stuff, it's still not treating her as the person she is and respecting what she's saying.
Well, and I think part of that is it sort of becomes almost like the little comic relief. You know what I mean? Like, he interjects with a little comment about, and I love Carla, and Carla's like, ew. You know what I mean? Because she's an old biddy.
And that's not fair to her, because they are the exact same age, save a day. So yes, their upbringing was very different, but he is still responsible for his actions. So even if you say, oh, he's got the maturity of a 7-year-old. Well, he doesn't have the consequences of that. Well, okay, to be fair, I tried to find out at what age they become adults. Couldn't really find anything online, so I don't know if Happy and Carla, starting at 6 when we first see them, are adults. I mean, they are full-sized, so to be fair. But Carla is the same age as him, so it's not fair to treat her with consequences that then you wouldn't give him just because she was raised differently.
What consequences? Not liking her?
Yeah.
Well,
he is like that too much of the time, and it's not just about Carla, it's how he is to Lucy, and how obnoxious he is, like, all the freaking time. Now, I will say that to Natsu, he is an emotional support, and he does fly, and that has saved Natsu's butt. Beyond that, he's pretty freaking useless. I'm sorry, he is, and while
he carries stuff.
Oh my god, he's not even that strong with it, despite that being his thing. He's just not even that strong with carrying things with his wings.
He catches fish.
They're usually gross fish.
Not for him.
No.
He carries his own weight and Natsu's too.
No.
Literally.
Yeah, literally, sometimes. But no. And he was superbly cute when he was really young. One, just because he was more adorable, but two, because he didn't talk. And while he is cute, he is not cute enough to make up for the amount of dick that he is.
He's not a dick. Look at who raised him. Look, Natsu raised him.
Yes,
and Natsu
and he is socially inept, but he is not a dick.
Okay.
Or an asshole.
Depending on how you look at it. Because to me, Natsu did some pretty inappropriate things, like breaking into Lucy's house all the time, eating all her food, getting mud everywhere.
If that's all that Happy did, I'd be okay with it. Because I'm okay with Natsu.
She just really doesn't like Happy, guys. Okay?
I really don't.
Racist.
That's why he's my
people. That's what
oh my god.
Okay, guys.
That's why he's my dishonorable mention. I am not a fan. Now, going into Bella's dishonorable mention is going into my honorable mention. So continue on the fairy tale trail, as it were. Carla is actually my honorable mention while being Bella's dishonorable mention. So kind of flipping it here. I like, as you guys know, mature, more quiet and reserved, intelligent.
Wouldn't say quiet.
I mean, she's vocal.
Yeah.
She's straightforward, but she's not.
You might also call her a
on.
female dog instead of a female cat, if you get my drift.
Anyway, but she's always looking out for others. I do actually appreciate how she shuts down Happy. One, again, as a female who deals with that kind of thing. But two, because I don't like Happy and I don't like how he is with her. So I appreciate her no-nonsenseness with him and his obnoxiousness and inappropriateness. Of course, she can fly, like Happy, so she's got that advantage as well. She has her chibi form, also cute, and yeah. So I really like her as a character. I do think she's strict, she is stern. I understand her not being everyone's cup of tea, but I do like her as a character, so.
And I think you've mentioned before that you really like how she took care of others, especially her
Wendy.
girl, Wendy, and really appreciated that sort of, she's sort of a maternal character, which I can appreciate. And that's about it. That's about it. I mean, she looks okay.
It might also be an older sibling thing, understanding, maturing quickly, and not taking crap, and having to be there for the younger ones. And
I can understand that. It's doing it without being a bitch. That's the problem.
It's hard to do when you're 6 years old. I mean, you're giving Happy all the excuses in the world because of his age, but then Carla's over here just...
Well, you condemn him regardless of his age, so...
No, I said that I don't know if he's an adult or not. If he is, then screw all that crap, okay? He's an adult, he should be better. I don't know if he's an adult or not, but... Still, his actions should have consequences at 6 years old, even if it's 6 in human years. You can understand things. You can have it explained to you. And she is very clear with him, repeatedly. Like, repeatedly, so. And Lucy, I mean, it hurts her feelings. It's obvious she says stuff about it, and he does it on purpose to her.
As a stepmom, guys, I think I have a little bit more understanding towards Happy, because you have to forgive that. You have to move on from that, even when it hurts your feelings, and you have to love them anyway. So I think maybe for me, it's easier to just sort of nullify that because I understand. But going back to Carla and how awful she is, okay, so that's my dishonorable mention. I think we already said that, but she is condescending and nagging and ugh. It's sort of like a cat from a Meatball Bund character show, you might realize. Mention in the comments if you do. Just, I mean, the condescension is really what gets me. Just assuming you know best for everything and pressuring people to do it your way and not being polite at all. Not
Yeah, because
even...
Happy's so polite.
Regardless of how other people act, I'm just saying, is that I cannot stand that type of character. And I appreciate her backstory. She grew up taking care of her human, having to be the responsible one, where she's the opposite of Happy. Happy was the baby for his human, and she was the mom for her human. So it's completely flipped the dynamic. So I understand why she is the way she is, but I guess I have less empathy for that. I still feel like you don't have to be a bitch. You know what I mean? I hate that type of characters. Part of that is my own personal biases filtering into this.
As a youngest sibling.
I think part of it is a younger sibling of 4 sisters. Okay, people. Final thought on that was Carla's awful, Happy's great. Moving on to my honorable mention, which is the last on the list, is actually Kuroneko? I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Which is the little black cat in Trigun. And Nair told me that it didn't count and they weren't enough of a character, but they're in every single episode of Trigun. And it's one of those tiny little things that I love about anime, where they add little details, respite from things to calm that action down. Because Trigun, if you guys are familiar, it's an older anime, very different, and it touches on a lot of really strong subjects in certain episodes where it gets really serious, or maybe it's a really action-filled part. Things are exploding, and then you just see Kuroneko, like, fly across the screen in a little explosion, like, meow.
Yeah,
and,
comic relief.
And it just gives a little, like it's not so bad. I don't know, maybe because I have anxiety, I appreciate that kind of thing. And then he's in the trailer at the end of the episode, and it's just one of those things that I really like, and he has a important nostalgic sort of place in my heart that I keep for him and Trigun, and yeah.
Not that I don't appreciate him. Totally do. That's fine. But my thing with him is just that he's not main enough of a character, which is why I did not even really consider him on my list. And that's a lot of what's on our lists, guys.
Well, to me, it's cats in anime, and he's a cat in anime. And he's in every episode.
No, I get where you're coming from. I'm just saying, for me, he wasn't a main enough character for me to consider him. He doesn't do enough actively.
Yeah, and I mean,
himself.
Don't get me. I mean,
or
he
herself.
He didn't get on my top 3, so obviously, to some point, I agree. But I just feel like he deserved that little shout out, and I loves him.
She loves him.
Shut up.
I'm sure most of us do. So, all right, guys. Well, that was our top 3 cats in shonen anime. Again, mine is Kuro, Panther Lily, and then Kilala.
And that's in shonen. So if you guys have any opinions on maybe some cats from shonen anime that we left out, let us know your top 3. Do you disagree? Do you agree that Carla's a
wonderful cat?
yeah. No. And Happy is a cheerful little baby of goodness
and obnoxiousness. But again, your top 3?
So that was Kuro, Kilala, and Happy.
All right.
This is Perspeculative. Have a meowingful day.
A very meowy day. Like Mary, is that good?
Yeah. Have a very meowy day.
Right meow. And forever. Oh, forever. Yeah, that works.
Oh my god, please die. Okay. Bye-bye now.